Row 47 of the office is empty. One monitor glows. 3014A. M. Marcus types 005s into a field marked hours worked this week. Behind the glass partition, Dana's screen throws blue light across a face gone slack, blouse creased from yesterday. You're actually filling that out, she says, not looking up. It's anonymous, Marcus says. Nothing's anonymous here, she answers. His phone lights up. A text, time-stamped 3014 AM. Need the deck by 6. Dana doesn't move. He checks. She's asleep, sitting upright, hand still on the mouse. Marcus's cursor hovers over submit. He clicks it. The building's ventilation hums on, indifferent. Nothing on the floor changes. The clock reads 3007 AM. The office breathes through vents, nothing else. A cursor blinks inside an empty cell, waiting on a number. Dana Cho, 24, opens a file named Hours Q1 Draft 3s and starts entering the only honest and test number she's typed all week, the one no manager will ever round down to something forgivable. Write down your real hour tonight, not the one on the timesheet. Her fingers stop on the keyboard. The number on the screen reads 105. Not a guess, not rounded. The literal sum of a week she barely remembers living through. Somewhere between one Monday and the next, roughly 30 hours of sleep went missing, and no one filed a report on where they went. Track the hour you lose before it disappears for good. 5 hours. That's the number in the box marked average nightly sleep. Her body doesn't log itself as data. It logs itself as a headache behind the left eye, a hand that shakes over the coffee at 4 p.m. The spreadsheet doesn't have a column for that. Note where your body keeps the receipts. Your calendar refuses to show you. Job's satisfaction, 2 out of 10. She writes it without pausing. The way you report a fact you stopped being surprised by months ago. Her mother calls twice this week, and both times she lets it ring out, because there's nothing left in the tank for a conversation that isn't billable. The people who love you are not a Klein item. Answer the call before the number replaces them. My name is Eli Marrow. I'm not a philosopher, and I didn't come to this by choice. For 11 years, I built spreadsheets exactly like the one Dana Cho just filled out, and called the people inside them headcount. I know this story from both chairs, the one filling in the number and the one reading it and doing nothing. That's the only credential I'm bringing you tonight. I believed the contract everyone signs and nobody reads. Work hard, stay loyal, the system keeps its end. I believed it for 11 years, right up until a folder slid across a table on a Tuesday morning. What that folder actually broke doesn't get explained yet. I'm walking you through the wound first. Name your own unspoken contract now, before reading it costs you 11 years. 9004 AM, a Tuesday in March. A man 12 years younger than me slides a folder across the table and calls it restructuring. 11 years of showing up early, of covering shifts, of never once calling out sick. None of it earns this folder a single mention. Whatever loyalty you're stacking up right now isn't collateral. Spend today like it already isn't. The box takes 14 minutes to fill. A stapler, a photo of a dog that died 2 years ago, a mug that says world's okayest employee, bought as a joke that stopped being funny around year 6. 11 years compresses into one cardboard box the security guard carries to the elevator without making eye contact. Nothing you build here is yours to keep. Build something outside these walls instead. The divorce papers arrive the same week as an interview request, both in identical white envelopes on the same kitchen counter. Sarah left before the folder ever slid across that table. The job just finished. A job the marriage had already started. 11 years married, 11 years employed, both contracts broken on a timeline that was never mine to set. Read your own contracts now, not after they're already void. The new apartment is 40% smaller, and the rent is due on the 1st, regardless of what happened on a Tuesday. Eli sits at a folding table doing math he used to do for other people's headcount, except now the headcount is 1 and the 1 is him. You are not a cost center, but if you don't track your own number, someone else will assign it for you. 3 a.m., the first night in the smaller apartment. Eli unpacks a box marked MISC and finds a water-stained paperback he doesn't remember owning. Meditations, spine cracked, someone else's coffee ring on the cover. He doesn't open it. Not yet. He just holds it, weighing whether an old dead emperor's diary has anything a severance check doesn't. Keep the box you almost threw away, you don't know what's inside it. Eli used to write reports that turned people into FTEs and headcount before a 9A. Meeting, clean language for messy decisions. He was good at it, the kind of good that gets you promoted twice in 4 years. He never once wrote a name. Now he understands why names make it harder to file the cooch. Watch the language your job asks you to use. It's rehearsing you for something. His jaw locks somewhere around month 2, molars grinding against a silence that owes him answers. He hasn't said the word fired out loud to anyone, not his mother, not the clerk at the unemployment office. The real question, what he actually lost, gets answered later, and it isn't the job. Say the true word out loud before it calcifies esque into a story you can't rewrite. Here's the payoff. He didn't lose a job. He lost the story he told himself about who he was. Reliable, needed, permanent, and that story turns out to have been a rental the whole time, not something he owned outright. 11 years of identity built on a title that could vanish in 14 minutes flat. Ask what you're building your name on before the folder finds you too. Cut to February 2021, a leaked internal survey from 13 first-year analysts at a Wall Street bank goes public before anyone can bury it. No names attached, just averages that read like a hospital chart. Eli reads it 3 times because it's precisely the spreadsheet he used to build for other people. Read the numbers behind your own paycheck before someone else has to leak them. The numbers, exactly as filed, an average of 95 hours a week, climbing to a mean of 105 during the week of February 13th. Not a typo, not a bad week. A pattern, self-reported by the very people it was destroying, because no one else was tracking it for them. 95 hours is not dedication. Do the arithmetic on your own, week before you call it that. 5 hours of sleep a night, self-reported, week after week. Below 5 hours, the clinical research is blunt. Reaction time and judgment collapse to something comparable to a blood alcohol level that would get you arrested driving home. Nobody at that firm called it impairment. They called it commitment and handed out bonuses for it. Guard your 5th hour of sleep like it's the only asset they can't repossess. Job satisfaction, a flat 2 out of 10, reported by the same analysts pulling in 6-figure salaries and wearing the suits everyone envies from outside the glass. Money bought the suit. It didn't buy the sleep, the marriage, or the 2. Somewhere a recruiter is calling that package a dream job to someone standing where these 13 people stood in February. Check the real number before you sign for the dream. This isn't a Wall Street problem wearing a Wall Street costume. Law associates, resident physicians, junior engineers at firms with foosball tables in the lobby, the same 90-plus hour weeks, the same 2 out of 10 satisfaction, dressed in a different lanyard. Prestige is just the uniform's poverty of time wears to the interview. Check the hours behind any job title before you envy the badge that comes with it. Somewhere, a manager calls a 90-hour week passion in a review, and the 24-year-old across the desk nods, because arguing costs more than agreeing does. Exhaustion gets treated like a promotion metric. The more depleted you look, the more the room trusts you. What happens when a body stops agreeing to that trade is coming, and it won't happen quietly? Stop mistaking your depletion for your values. Every closed system that never releases heat eventually breaks itself apart. Engineers call it thermal runaway. the same physics that guts an overworked engine or an overworked analyst. Nobody built in a valve for these 13 people. No scheduled cooldown, no relief. A company can be profitable and unsustainable on the same balance sheet. Build one release valve into your week before your own system runs hot enough to fail. This isn't an isolated case study, it's a balance sheet for an entire generation, itemized in hours instead of dollars. 13 names became a percentile became a headline, and the headline became something people forgot by the next news cycle. Eli didn't forget, because he used to build the exact same ledger for a living. Don't wait for a leak to audit your own week. Do it tonight. Rome, 1st century. A man named Epictetus owns nothing. Not his schedule, not his body, not the hours of his own day. He is, by law, property, and his master can do with those hours whatever he wants. Historians still record him as one of the freest minds who ever lived. Ownership of your time is never the same thing as ownership of your mind. The story handed down. His master twists his leg until it snaps, and Epictetus says only, "You will break it," without raising his voice. He doesn't fight the hand he can't control. He controls the one thing left standing, how he receives what's done to him. Find the one, leave her still yours before you exhaust yourself, pulling the ones that aren't. Seneca gets exiled to Corsica for 8 years on a charge he calls theater, stripped of his career, his city, his say over his calendar. He writes anyway, letters by lamp oil at 3 a.m. because the Roman court can seize his time but not his attention. Exile happened to his address, not his mind. Whatever cage they hand you, decide what still gets to move freely inside it. Marcus Aurelius rules an empire of 50 million people while his body is failing. Ulcers, chronic pain, a war on the frontier that never ends. Supreme power on earth buys him no extra hour, no immunity from the same clock everyone else answers to. He writes his private notebook not to rule better, but to survive being awake. Power was never going to buy you time. Start living differently now. Epictetus opens his handbook with the one distinction his whole philosophy depends on. Some things are up to us. Judgment. Desire our own will. And some things are not like other people's decisions. Or a folder. Someone else slides across a table. He isn't offering comfort. He's offering a sea map of where your actual power ends. Draw that line for your own week before someone else draws it for you. There's a version of this lecture where Eli says, "Accept what you can't control," and leaves it there. A bumper sticker. Easy to nod at, easy to forget by lunch. That's not where this goes. What he actually did differently after that folder, the part nobody puts on a poster, comes next, and it costs more than acceptance. Stay for the orb, but actually change something. The wound is old. Marcus lost his health to duty. Seneca lost his home to politics. Epictetus lost his body to another man's whim. And now, 13 kids straight out of college lob their own hours like a confession. Same wound, new spreadsheet. What connects a Roman slave to a 2021 analyst isn't philosophy. It's the fact that neither one owned his own day. Own 1 hour of today completely. Eli opens the leaked survey the way a coroner opens a file. Not for shock, for cause of death. 13 rows of self-report, no HR spin attached. He reads each line twice. Once as a stranger, once as the man who used to write the same report for a different logo. The second reading is the one that hurts it. Read your own numbers twice. The truth lives in the second pass. Break the number down to something that fits in a hand. 95 hours a week is 13 hours and 34 minutes a day, every day, no weekends carved out. On a reported base salary near 85,000, that prices an hour of a human analyst around 17, 19, less than the barista serving his coffee at 5 a.m. Myth isn't complicated, it's just humiliating once you finish it. 10:05 hours wasn't a crisis week that broke protocol. It was the week they happened to measure, already inside the range everyone silently expected. Ask any first year there what a lights week looks like, and the answer still starts with a 7. There's no such thing as an anomaly that happens to 13 out of 13 people at once. Name the unspoken expectation before it owns your calendar too. 1 brutal week is recoverable. 12 brutal weeks in a row is a different animal entirely. The sleep debt compounds like interest. Nobody agreed to, and by week 8, the body stops asking permission before it fails. 2 analysts on that survey report chest pains under 26. Not from one Tuesday, from 8 straight months of Tuesdays. A single hard week teaches nothing. Check what your average month costs you. When you ask someone to rate their job satisfaction, and they answer 2 out of 10 without hesitating, you're not measuring an opinion about a job. You're measuring what's left of a person after the schedule finished with them. None of the 13 called it depression on the form. The form didn't have that box. Add the box yourself before your own number gets filed without one. For 6 seconds, Eli doesn't move. His finger rests on the number 2, the satisfaction score, and the apartment is quiet enough to hear the refrigerator cycle on. Outside, a car alarm starts and stops. He doesn't blink through any of it. Some numbers deserve 6 full seconds of stillness before you're allowed to react to them. Give this one yours. Eli pulls up a memory instead of a file. His own old spreadsheet 11 years back, different company, same brutal shape. A column for hours, none for cost. He doesn't remember flagging a single row as a problem. He remembers thinking the highest numbers looked like dedication on paper. He was wrong about that math for a decade. Check which of your old beliefs was actually bad math wearing a compliment. None of this is an accident of scheduling. Bonus structures, staffing ratios, unofficial expectations passed down from analyst to analyst, like a hazing ritual. Every piece was designed by someone in a room where nobody put 95 hours on a slide. Systems don't confess. They produce the numbers and let you find them later. Stop asking whether the system meant to hurt you. It was never built to ask. Seneca opens. On the shortness of life, with a diagnosis that still lands 2,000 years later, life isn't short. We waste enormous amounts of it and complain about the shortness only after burning it. He isn't scolding the overworked. He's scolding how they spend the hours they do control, scrolling, avoiding, numbing, instead of living. Them on purpose. Spend 1 hour tonight like Seneca is grading how you used it. Seneca notices something almost comic. People guard their money fiercely, arguing over pennies, but hand over their hours to the first person who asks. No negotiation at all. He calls this the one bankruptcy nobody budgets for. Eli underlines the line 3 times, ink getting darker each pass, like he's trying to make it stick this time. Guard your calendar the way you'd guard your wallet. The hours you're assigned aren't yours to negotiate away. The deadline, the client, the 11 p.m. email exist, whether you accept them or not. What's yours is the 40 minutes on either side of that grind, how you wake, how you close the laptop, whether you let the job follow you into the shower. Reclaim the sedges of your day when the middle isn't yours. Start with one edge tonight. Seneca wrote that line to a friend in Rome, but it plays just as well inside a Zoom call at 11 p.m., screens glowing in a dozen kitchens. Someone unmutes and says, "Quick thing before we close out," and 40 minutes disappear into what could have been 3 sentences in an email. The warning didn't need updating, just a microphone. Notice the meeting stealing your evening before you accept the invite. Economists have a term for a resource that can't be stored, replaced, or earned back once it's spent. Perishable scarcity, like a seat on a flight that flies empty. Time fits that definition exactly, better than money ever will, since money at least allows for loans and refunds. Nobody has ever refinanced a 6 Tuesday. Spend today's hours like a resource with no resale value, because it has none. Marcus writes to himself in Book 2, Act, Speak, and think as if you might depart life this very moment, because that possibility is always present. He isn't chasing a bucket list. He's arguing for attention to the current task with full presence, because pretending you have infinite Tuesdays is how people waste the finite ones they actually get. Do the next hour like it's accounted for, because it is. Here's the part Eli doesn't skip past. This exact teaching, taken wrong, almost finished him. For 3 months after the divorce, he used live like it's your last days as a license to stop caring about anything, including rent. What happened when that collapsed into something worse comes in a few scenes, and it's why he trusts this philosophy more, not less. Stay for the cave version that almost broke him. Time is the one thing genuinely yours, on loan from nobody, owed to nobody. And it's also the thing people spend with the least attention of anything they own. You'd never hand a stranger your bank card and walk away. Most people hand strangers their hours daily without a second thought. Guard your hours with the same instinct you'd use guarding your wallet on a crowded train. 3 a.m. The smaller apartment, 6 weeks after the folder. Eli opens the water-stained paperback instead of holding it, cracking the spine at a random page because there's nothing on television and nowhere to be. The first line he reads isn't comforting. It's a man complaining about getting out of bed. He recognizes that man immediately. Open the book you've been avoiding. The first page rarely lies to you. He isn't finding wisdom in this book, not at first. He's finding a man 2,000 years dead who also woke up dreading the day, who also wrote himself pep talks he clearly didn't believe, who was also exhausted by other people. Marcus Aurelius doesn't sound like an emperor on this page. He sounds tired. Find the person in any text who sounds like you at your worst. Meditations was never meant for readers. Marcus wrote it in Greek, not Latin, the language of philosophy rather than public record, and he never once refers to publishing it. It's a man arguing with himself in the dark, correcting his own excuses in real time, nobody grading the performance. Eli starts his own notebook that night, aimed at nobody, which is exactly the point. Write 1 page tonight for no audience. Eli doesn't sob. There's no scene of collapse, no release. Just water on his face while he keeps reading, silent, unacknowledged even by himself until he notices the page is wet. It's the first time since signing the divorce papers that something has moved through him without his permission. He lets it happen without reaching for a tissue or explanation. Let one unguarded moment happen tonight without narrating it to death. He doesn't call it a journal. Journals in his life were for people who had time to feel things during business hours. He calls it a checklist, 3 lines every night, no more. What happened, what he controlled, what he's carrying into tomorrow that he shouldn't be. Some nights, all 3 lines say the same. Pick 3 lines and write them tonight before you talk yourself out of it. Here's a contradiction. The fan pages skip. Marcus preaches ceaseless duty to the state. Work as an obligation with no off switch, while Seneca warns against that kind of endless labor, calling it theft from your own life. 2 Stoics, same tradition, opposite instincts about rest. Eli doesn't resolve it. He picks Seneca's side for this season of his life. Pick the philosopher who fits your season, not the poster. The solution was never quitting the workforce and moving to a cabin. Eli still has rent, still has a daughter who calls sometimes, still has to eat. The solution is smaller, owning the hours nobody else has claimed yet, 1 honest checklist at a time. He didn't get his old life back. He got a say in the next one. Reclaim 1 hour today, not the whole calendar. A conference room, a projector, a man in a 600 blazer talking about stoic resilience to 200 people who each paid $9.97 to be there. He quotes Marcus Aurelius on a slide with a stock photo of a mountain behind it. Nobody in the room has read a page of Meditations, including, it turns out, the speaker. Check whether someone selling you stoicism has sat with the discomfort it demands. A hoodie in the merch booth prints a Marcus Aurelius line. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Above the words, "grinned never stops" in a font built for gym mirrors. Marcus wrote that line to argue for less reactivity, not more hours logged. The hoodie costs $58 and comes in 4 colors. Read the fine print on any quote before you wears someone else's philosophy as a slogan. Ryan Holiday's books did something valuable. They got a generation reading Marcus Aurelius who otherwise never would have. They also got misread by exactly the wrong audience, turned into a justification for 100-hour weeks and calling burnout the obstacles, instead of naming it a design flaw in the schedule. The books aren't the problem. The highlighting is. Read past the highlighted lines to the argument underneath them. A CEO opens the all hands with "the obstacle is the way," then closes it 41 minutes later by announcing 340 layoffs effective. Friday, no severance conversation scheduled until next week. Marcus never once suggested the obstacle belonged to someone else's paycheck while you kept yours. Using discipline to narrate other people's ruin isn't stoicism, it's theft wearing a toga. Ask who benefits before you accept anyone's version of an old quote. Eli is blunt about this. What that CEO practiced isn't philosophy, it's a costume. Real stoicism asks you to examine your own conduct with brutal honesty. Corporate stoicism asks employees to examine their own resilience, so leadership never has to examine its decisions. One serves the person doing the work. The other serves the spreadsheet. Know which version someone is selling you before you buy the framework. Special operations doctrine has a rule. Hustle culture ignores completely. Real discipline includes the order to disengage, because a unit that never rotates out eventually can't tell friend from threat. Fatigue doesn't make soldiers braver, it makes them slower at the one job that matters. The military figured this out with lives on the line. Corporate America still treats rests like a rounding error. Schedule your retreat before your judgment. Forces one. Epictetus teaches acceptance of circumstance. Don't fight what you can't change, adjust your judgment instead. His own teacher, Musonius Rufus, taught something sharper. Philosophy that doesn't produce action is just talk, and comfort is usually the first sign you've stopped practicing it. Student and master, same school, different tolerance for sitting still. Eli needs both voices, not just the easier one. Know when you're using acceptance as an excuse to avoid acting. Confusing endurance with wisdom is how you get an emperor's diary quoted at a layoff and a slave's dichotomy of control repackaged as an excuse to accept unpaid overtime. The philosophy survived 2,000 years intact. What corrupted along the way was the audience's willingness to read only the half of it that costs them nothing. Read the whole text before you build a career on half a sentence of it. Eli's old mentor, Gary, ran the department for 19 years and called himself the most disciplined man in this building at least once a quarter. He never took a sick day. He answered emails from vacation, from his daughter's graduation, from a hospital waiting room once. Everyone called it strength, including, for a long time, Eliac. Watch who gets praised for endurance before you copy their habits. Gary keeps a printed motto taped above his monitor: "Discomfort is where growth happens." He hasn't taken a vacation in 7 years, and everyone in the office repeats his motto like scripture without checking what it costs the man who wrote it. Nobody notices the hand tremor at 4p, mere, anymore, or pretends not to. Ask what a smotto is covering for before you tape it to your own wall. Gary is 61 when it happens, on a Thursday at 10:12 p.m., alone on the 4th floor because the cleaning crew hasn't reached his side of the building yet. Nobody finds him until 6,040 the next morning. The paramedics say the word preventables more than once to no one who's listening. Discipline was never supposed to mean this is. Check your own numbers before your body files the report for you. His phone is still lit when they find him, screen locked on an unsent email, cursor blinking after the words, "per my last." The building's night security keeps the desk exactly as it was for 6 hours per protocol before anyone touches anything. Nobody has answered that email since. It sits there, mid-sentence, a monument to unfinished correspondence. Nobody needed that badly. Leave one email unfinished tonight on purpose. What killed Gary wasn't overwork alone. It was calling silence, a virtue for 19 years straight, refusing every offer of help as a personal failure instead of a normal request. That's not stoicism. That's suffering with better branding, dressed up in a philosophy that never actually asks for silence, only clear judgment. Say the harder thing out loud before your silence gets mistaken for strength by someone writing your obituary. Epictetus never once tells his students to suffer quietly. He tells them to sort accurately what's theirs to control and act decisively within that space, including, plainly, the choice to ask for help, to change jobs, to say the sentence, "I can't do this anymore" out loud. Silence was never the assignment. Clarity was. Use your voice as the tool. It actually is, not a weakness to manage. Real discipline, the way Eli understands it, includes an exit ramp. It means noticing your own tremor at 4 p.m. and treating it as data, not a badge. It means telling a manager no in month 3 of a quarter instead of month 47 in a hospital bed. Gary had the discipline. He never learned the exits. Build your exit ramp before you're 61, and it's late to use it. The framework doesn't fail on its own. It fails the moment someone uses it to override a body's limits instead of respecting them, mistaking numbness for mastery, silence for peace. Gary is proof of what that mistake costs at full price. Eli writes his name in the notebook that night, not as a lesson, as a debt he means to keep paying. Honor his cost by changing your habit today. Before, Eli answered emails at 11:40 p.m. and called it dedication. The same word Gary used, the same math that put a man in the ground at 61. He measured his own worth by how fast he replied, not by anything he actually built during daylight hours. Nobody asked him to do this. He volunteered every night for years. Notice which habits you volunteer for without anyone asking. After, Eli puts the phone in the kitchen drawer at 8015p. A habit exactly 6 weeks old and still uncomfortable every single time. His hand actually reaches for the drawer twice before it settles, an old reflex checking for a message that isn't there. The silence afterward feels less like peace and more like withdrawal. Give the discomfort 6 weeks before you decide the habit isn't working. Tonight is the test. Though Eli doesn't know that yet as he closes the drawer. Somewhere across town, his daughter is deciding whether to call a father who's usually in the middle of something, and whether this time will be different. What happens on that call, whether the old habit wins or the new one does, is the whole reason this notebook matters. Stay close. The test is already ringing. The phone rings at 8031 p.m., muffled under a dish towel in the drawer. Eli almost doesn't hear it. It's Maya, 9, asking if he wants to hear about a science project involving 3 eggs and a homemade parachute. No urgency in her voice at all. He says yes before she finishes asking. This is the whole point, the part no spreadsheet ever had a column for. He can't fix the marriage. That door closed the same week the folder slid across the table and no notebook or ancient text reopens it. But this call, this exact 11-minute call about eggs and parachutes, he can keep, and does, twice a week now instead of never. Not every loss gets repaired. Some get replaced with something smaller and real. Keep the smaller thing. It's not a consolation prize. Seneca tells Lucilius to treat each day as a life, arranged and settled, owing nothing to tomorrow. Live today as if it were the last coin in the account, and spend it like you mean it. Eli reads this on the same night as the eggs and the parachute, and understands it for the first time as instruction, not decoration. Close tonight, like the account is settled. Our tomorrow, nothing. Nobody rings a bell when a person actually changes. There's no boardroom announcement, no triumphant montage, no crowd waiting outside. It arrives as an 11-minute phone call, answered instead of screened, a drawer holding a phone instead of a hand, a notebook with 3 honest lines in it. Quiet is not the same as Smalley. Let your own change stay this quiet. It's still real. Act 4 opens where Act 3 quietly ended. The notebook, now 9 weeks old, spine already softening from nightly use. Eli isn't performing self-improvement for an audience of himself. He's running a maintenance check, the way you check oil in a car you actually intend to keep driving for years, not trade in. This isn't a diary, it's upkeep. Start your own maintenance check tonight, however small. 3 questions, same order, every night, no exceptions. Who did I spend today's hours on? What did it actually cost me? And what am I carrying into tomorrow that isn't mine to carry? He answers each in 1 sentence. No paragraphs, no self-pity, just an honest inventory. Ask yourself these 3 questions tonight before you fall asleep, still holding tomorrow's weight. The ritual is 2,000 years old in spirit. Invented new every night in practice, phone powered off, not just silenced, at exactly 9 p.m. Notebook open under a single lamp. No app tracks this. No streak counter rewards it. Marcus didn't need a notifications to remind him to examine his conduct, and neither does Eli anymore. Turn something all the way off tonight, not just to silent. Not every night produces a clean answer. On the 6th Tuesday, question 2, what did it cost me? Gets 1 honest word, fear. Not sleep, not money, just fear, spent on a version of Maya's mother. He keeps rehearsing arguments with that will never actually happen. He writes the word anyway, doesn't cross it out, doesn't dress it up as something nobler. Write the ugly answer down exactly as it is. Accountants call it a closing entry, the ritual at day's end that reconciles what happened against what the ledger claims happened. No rounding allowed. Eli runs the same closing entry on himself nightly, matching the day he lived against the day he meant to live, and the gap between them shrinks every few weeks. Audit your days like a good accountant. Audit's a book. No interest in flattering the numbers. The pen stops 3 inches above the page, mid-sentence, on the word why. For 3 seconds, nothing moves. Not the pen, not his breathing, not the refrigerator hum in the next room. Some questions need that pause before the honest word arrives, instead of the convenient one. Let the pen hover a full 3 seconds before you write the easy answer down. The exercise is specific, not aspirational. Name 1 actual hour in your actual week by clock time that currently belongs to something that doesn't deserve it. Doom scrolling. A recurring meeting nobody needs. A habit that isn't even enjoyable anymore. Circle it. Take it back starting Monday. No committee vote required. Reclaim 1 hours by name, not a vague promise to do better generally. This ritual will not fix the industry, will not rewrite the survey, will not bring Gary back or unsign a single divorce paper. It does something smaller and more durable. It keeps the person doing the surviving actually present for his own life, while the bigger fight continues elsewhere. Small rituals don't solve big systems. They keep you alive long enough to matter inside them anyway. Second exercise. Split a page in half. Left column, not mine, to controls. The client's mood, the market, whether the company survives Q3. Right column, mine to controls. How fast Eli reacts. What tone he uses. Whether he checks the phone at 11 p.m. or waits until morning. Most of the left column gets crossed off entirely. Draw this line on your own page before your next hard Monday. The deadline isn't his to negotiate. The client set it before Eli was even hired, immovable, indifferent to his sleep schedule. What's his? Whether he answers a Sunday night email or lets it wait. Whether he takes the panic personally or treats it as someone else's poor planning arriving late. His response to the deadline is the only lever he's ever actually held. Separate the clock from your reaction to the clock. He practices the sentence out loud before he needs it. I can't take this on right now. No apology attached. No 3-paragraph justification. No offer to make it up later at his own expense. The full sentence, unadorned, delivered once. Over-explaining a boundary is just begging someone to talk you out of it. Say the sentence and stop talking. The silence after it is doing the actual work. An email lands at 11,003 p.m. from a director who doesn't sleep, marked urgent in the subject line, nothing in the body that couldn't have waited for daylight. Eli reads it, closes the laptop, and answers at 8,006 the next morning, calm, complete, unhurried. Nothing collapsed overnight. The urgency was invented by someone else's bad planning, not by reality. Let manufactured urgency sit until morning. Nothing breaks. Game theorists have a name for what happens to the player who concedes first in every single round. They train their opponent to expect the concession, and the price of resistance only goes up from there. Eli used to be that player, every time, automatically. Concession isn't kindness when it's automatic. It's just information. You're handing the other side for free. Make someone actually ask twice before you fold. There's one line on Eli's page that never moves, that he refuses to negotiate down no matter who's asking or how urgently. He hasn't told you what it is yet on purpose, because it's the line everything else in this practice is actually built to protect. 2 more scenes, and you'll have it. And it's smaller than you're probably guessing. Keep going. The real boundary is coming. Seneca practiced premeditatio malorum, rehearsing the worst case in detail before it happens, so it loses its power to ambush you later. Eli tries it on the thing he still fears most, losing this job too. He walks through it, the box, the drawer, the calls he'd have to make. It's uncomfortable for exactly 4 minutes, then oddly survivable. Rehearse your worst case on purpose tonight. It shrinks under attention. Control was never about doing less. It's about knowing precisely what you're choosing and why, instead of drifting through a week other people's urgency designed for you. Eli still works hard. He just knows, line by line, which hours are actually his now and which ones he's lending out on purpose. Know the difference between your hours and the ones you're lending. Then, decide the terms yourself. Here's the line, finally. Health, family, and 6 hours of sleep, minimum, non-negotiable, no matter what's on fire at work. Not an ideal, just a flaw he refuses to trade for any deadline or any director who forgot the word urgent has limits. Everything else on the page can flex. This flaws cannot. Set your own flaw today, in writing, before the next crisis asks you to lower it. Eli practices amor fati on the folder, the actual document. Not a metaphor for it. Not celebrating that he got fired. Not pretending it didn't gut him. Just refusing to spend 1 more year fighting a fact that already happened. He carries it now instead of dragging it. The difference is entirely in the gripper. Stop dragging your worst fact behind you. Pick it up and carry it forward instead. He crosses out former operations manager on his own resume draft and writes something truer above it. A man who kept his kids' phone calls and his own sleep even when it cost him professionally. Nobody hires you off that line. He's writing it for the version of himself reading it at 3 a.m. in a year. Write the truer line, even if no employer ever reads it. Last exercise, 1 sentence. Define yourself in a way that survives losing your job title completely. That would still be true if the company vanished tomorrow along with the org chart. Eli writes his in 14 minutes, crosses out 6 drafts, keeps the 7th, a man who answers the phone when it matters. That's the whole S sentence. Write yours tonight. Keep it short enough to remember under pressure. Eli reads the sentence to Maya over the phone that night, voice steady in a way it hasn't been in a year. A man who answers the phone when it matters. She doesn't understand why it matters to him and says only, "Okay, Dad," before going back to her homework. That's enough. It was never going to be P bigger than that. Say your sentence to someone before you fully understand it yourself. Structural engineers will tell you a suspension bridge doesn't survive high wind by refusing to move. It survives because it's designed to sway within limits, sometimes feet, without failing. Rigid structures are the ones that snap first, not the flexible ones. Eli used to think strength meant never bending an inch. He was reading the blueprints wrong the whole time. Build enough flex into your structure to survive the next wind. The toolkit is complete now, the checklist, the drawer, the line that never moves, the sentence that survives a layoff. None of it is dramatic. None of it will trend online or get quoted on a hoodie. What's left isn't a new insight. It's the unglamorous discipline of repeating all 4 of these things on the nights he doesn't feel like it. Repetition is the only part left. Do the boring version tomorrow, too. Eli opens the leaked survey one final time, months later, and notices his own hands are steady reading it now. No jaw lock, no 3A. Me, replay. He was never aimed at the 13 analysts. The target was always a design nobody bothered to question out loud. The noise underneath his ribs finally went quiet. It just took longer than anyone tells you it will. Give your own quiet the time it actually needs. The 13 analysts on that survey were never just victims of one bank's bad quarter. They're witnesses, on the record, to how an entire system prices a human hour when nobody's watching closely enough to object. Some of them stayed anyway, and that's their decision to make, not Eli's to judge from a safer distance. Read a witness statement as evidence, not gossip, and act on what it actually proves. Eli doesn't pretend everyone should quit or fight HR or become him. Some of the 13 will stay at that firm another decade, chasing partner, and build a life they're genuinely proud of inside those exact hours. That's not weakness. That's a different math, run by someone who isn't him. He stopped needing everyone to agree with his answer. Run your own math. It's the only one you actually owe. He doesn't spend what's left in him on burning the system down in a speech nobody at that firm will ever hear. Systems this large don't notice individual refusals, and pretending otherwise wastes hours he's decided belong to him now. What he actually controls is smaller and sharper. He refuses to let any spreadsheet set his own price ever again. Refuse the one price that's actually yours to refuse. He turns off the desk lamp at exactly 9 p.m. Same as every night now, and the apartment goes quiet except for the clock and the refrigerator's cycle. He doesn't reach for the phone in the dark to check anything. For 6 full seconds, nothing needs him at all, anywhere, and he simply lets that be true eyes. Sit in 6 seconds of nobody needing you before you reach for the phone. This isn't a victory lap. Nothing was defeated. Not the firm, not the industry, not the math that still prices analysts at 17, 19 an hour somewhere tonight. What changed is smaller and stranger. Eli is awake now, present for his own life in a way he wasn't for 11 straight years, watching it happen instead of logging it. Awake isn't a finish line. It's a practice. You renew again tomorrow morning. He calls Maya again on a Tuesday that isn't scheduled, not because he owes her a check-in, but because he wants, specifically, to hear her explain something in too much detail. She picks up on the second ring and starts talking about a book report before he says hello properly. This is the whole practice, disguised as an ordinary phone call. Call the person you want to hear, not the one you're scheduled to call. Surviving this was never about becoming harder to hurt. Gary tried that version, and it killed him at 61 with an email open on the screen. The lesson is smaller and warmer. Keep enough kindness toward Maya, toward strangers, toward the exhausted version of himself in the mirror, that the ordeal doesn't calcify into something bitter. Protect your capacity for kindness, like it's the last asset the job can't touch. Eli closes the paperback for the night and sets it on the nightstand beside the cheap metal watch he's worn since before any of this happened. Both objects are scratched. Both still work perfectly for what they're actually for. He doesn't need either one to look expensive anymore, only accurate. Turn off the light on an ordinary object that's still doing its job. That's the whole ending, and it's enough. Eli doesn't leave you with 3 steps or a numbered plan tonight. He leaves you with one instruction before you close this video. Name out loud whose hour tonight belongs to yours, or a spreadsheet you haven't audited in years. Say the name. Then go turn off one thing that's been running you, instead of the other way around. That's the directive. Start tonight, on this exact hour, not tomorrow.